Hello everyone and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of a Canon conglomerate. This audio podcast is part of a Ztorm proxy. This audio podcast is part of a Ztorm and Ostix analysis. This audio podcast as part of the journal. This audio podcast as part of a Ztorm and Ostix production. Through this audio podcast today, I look at a publication by Mohammed in around 2020, and looking at healthcare scientists in primary care, a systematic review. The publication was a sort of wherein the systematic review was a part of a sort of a looking in a sort of a delving into the literature. So this audio podcast looks at the research gap and the research and in around the research approach. I look at sort of and I look at in on the research question, the research question, and sort of and look at sort of the strength and limitations of the publication. So the investigation is part of the research gap and approach. The investigation used the consort or prism, that is PRISM construct to develop the systematic review aligned with an inclusion and exclusion criteria to help answer a research question. What educational and support pathway for CKD could look like with healthcare scientists' involvement to provide supplementary education surrounding chronic kidney disease. And the investigation in around as part of the research question. So as part of the research question again, it was was in around what the educational and pathway for CKD could look like with healthcare scientists' involvement to provide supplementary education surrounding CKD or chronic kidney disease. The investigation looked to understand healthcare challenges between primary and secondary care healthcare services and describe what the educational and support pathway for CKD recipients could look like, implementing a systematic review. The publication was within the remit of patient and public involvement, or PPI. In as part of the strength of the publication, the systematic review looked to understand what support pathway for CKD could look like with healthcare scientists' involvement, specifically in relating to laboratory parameters, tests, and investigations. The publication informs in on only some aspects of the challenges surrounding healthcare services through five themes. The investigations also include literature from research databases spanning over an 18-year duration. The investigation summarizes the literature, and the publication outlines a screening from literature using a prism schematic. And as part of the limitations, the investigation informs that scientists will not only look to collaborate with each other, i.e., between healthcare or health sectors, but also do so with colleagues on frontline, with clinicians, government officials, human rights and relief workers who are also looking to drive change. However, the publication could have a bit more focus surrounding the in around the RPSG element. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of a Canon conglomerate. This audio podcast is part of a Ztorm proxy. This audio podcast is part of a Ztorm and Ostix analysis. This audio podcast is part of the journal, and this audio podcast is part of a Ztorm and Ostix production.